Welcome to my video series, Meditate to Resolve Suffering. This video series is dealing with addiction, drug addiction, computer addiction, addictions itself. And how do you recover from an addiction pattern that you created with a drug or smoking or whatever on that. So understanding what meditating does is a key element to create your own abilities within meditating ability involved. So let's begin with what are the components, the parts to meditate. And there are three. One is the breath, the mind, and body. That's the most basic level. Those three parts work within the ability to meditate in context of meditation. Now, understanding these words is a key element to really develop your own meditating ability to deal with compulsive behaviors or negative behaviors, like taking drugs, drinking, whatever, on that. So let's begin with the breath. It is the key. You have the breath at the top and then the two, mind and body. Think of a triangle. Mind and body. And the breath links the two together in a dynamic way, because the way you breathe is a reflection of your emotional, physical reality in the moment. Understand the breath. When you talk, you have to exhale. You're expressing your energy. You're expressing your tone of your energy, your characteristics that you learn through the words you use and the emotional reflection within each word. That is the reality you have at that moment. Change your vocabulary. Well, don't use these certain words, use these new words, but put emotions, new emotions within this word that replaces the old. I believe to recovery is to replace. You have to replace the old with the new, and you have to have the new more dynamic than the old involved. Now, the power within the meditating ability, it's mind, body, and breath, and I will go into each part and how they play together to allow you to meditate in context to the meditation purpose. The best way I can explain the two words, meditation is a noun. It's thought. It's intellect. It's like prayers. How many meditation forms there are? Meditate is like praying. It is the physical act, the mental, the body, and the breath, using words, using thoughts to feel, to express, to become something different. There's two ways. It's an interaction. Meditating is an interaction, and you defined it mentally. And it's based on your free will, believe it or not. People meditate all the time on a math problem or on an accounting problem. They block out. On a mental point of view, you block out. So all of the distraction, you just try to work out the puzzle. It's all abstract in your head. Your body's providing it, but breath is not part of this. When you meditate, the breath is the key element that activates the whole body. It's energy production, it's flow, and you direct it. And that stimulates your whole body sensation to the mind. The mind, what's the function of the brain? It's like, okay, how much sensory input how can I increase my senses? That goes back to the story I gave in an introduction to the Hindu story, how to show the value of the breath in relationship to your senses. Why do people smoke? Cigarettes. It's been outlawed, but way back when I was young, it was very popular. Cigarettes were cheap. Did it. And here's everyone says it was nicotine. Well, that was fake. It was like the lawyers needed something to sue, and they picked on nicotine, and nicotine isn't addictive by itself. It is not addictive. If it was addictive, you'd have people on the street corner selling nicotine patches. Slap it on and go into the ozone. No, Nicotine only combined with a cigarette. What does nicotine do? Restrict blood flow. What does that do to the body? Restricts energy and makes you calmer then. 2, smoking is a combination. It's like meditating. You got several. You got mind, body, and breath. The mind focuses on the cigarette, the pattern, remembers the history, everything like that. So when you decide to smoke, oh, I'm stressed out, I'm this, I'm that, oh, I'm this, and putting it in your hands, you feel it. You have expectations and stuff. And that's first puff. That's the key element. You inhale, pause, and as you're doing so, what changes? Stress. Where? In your shoulders. Shoulders drop, the body relaxes. You cannot relax without going with your shoulders and face calming down, then the body can calm down if you make it. You have to direct it. That's what cigarettes smoking does. It puts you in an altered state you learned from the very beginning to develop. It used to be very social acceptable. Go take a cigarette and relax involved. And the people accepted that as an excuse to take a break. I need a cigarette break. Or after, right for a con. And what do people do when they cigarette? They have a whole ritual. I got my security blanket with this pack of cigarettes. The first cigarette I'm holding in my hand. And that first puff, inhale, pause, and as they're doing it out their mouth, their lips a certain way, everything relaxes. The face relaxes, the shoulders relax, then the body relaxes on that exhale. Then pause for it, and then and sort of keeps it toned that way until the cigarette's gone. People used to have called chain smoking. I mean, they go through 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I mean, why? To keep themselves calm in relationship with the doing, because they have no other techniques, no other methods to do anything about it. And this is where to meditate, it comes into play, of learning how to be disciplined using that instead of other things, drugs, whatever. It's all based on time. How much time do you spend away from your drug addiction? Then how much quality time is this? What makes it dynamic away from drug? Time. If you don't fill that time space, the drug impulses and and breath can break that cycle. The power of the breath and breathing. Now, let me explain a little bit about creating the breath involved. It's not simple. It's an exercise in itself. Everyone's breathing to some degree. But when you want to become dynamic, people that like great singers, from Frank Sinatra to opera singers, they change their breath whole pattern to sing in a dynamic way. Why? They're projecting their spirit, the emotions through their breath. The song, the mental side, the physical shape in their body, and then what comes on the exhale, what comes out of their throat, lungs, and heart as a tone. So really understand the power of the breath in relationship to mind and body alters your state, and the breath can bring in energy, good things. Also, it can bring in negative things too. So the power of the breath is always there. You either do it consciously or unconsciously, but it's there involved. Now, let's deal with the actual breath, creating the breath. The torso, and then you have the body to enhance. This is very basic. The basic torso concept is this. There's 3 chambers to make your breath. 3 chambers. That's below the belly button. That activates everything from the belly button down to the perineum. Perineum breathing is the lowest form of breathing and activation. Then you have the diaphragm breathing here. That's what most people do. That's when you really learn emotions, because a lot of emotions center in the diaphragm area, around the heart in there. Then you have the lung breathing. Now, on aging, it's so funny. Babies, if you watch a baby, belly button goes up, all babies breathe the same way. As soon as they became aware of things, language, everyone breathes a little different after that. But babies all start off breathing the same way. There's a basic form of breathing. The belly button comes up to inhale, pause, and the belly button comes down to exhale and pause. There's 4 parts to breathing. Inhale brings energy in, pause gives you strength, exhale releases your energy, strength, and pause. Now, to back this up, let's go to the baby. I swear, babies are opera singers. If you watch a baby cry, really like, really pissed off, whatever, they inhale, their stomach tightens, really tight, and then they have this long aria of, then they pause a little bit, the stomach comes up, gets tight again, and they can go a long time on one exhale. This is what opera singers do. This is what the power of that. But they take a deep inhale and a long exhale. Now, for relaxation, there's two types of breathing types. Meditative, I call it, and active breathing. Basic active breathing is inhale quick, pause, exhale long. If you take a walk, see if you can do a 20-second exhale while you're walking. It's really hard. In order to do that, you have to have soft shoulders. If your shoulders are tight, you can't move the belly button out too much, and you can't exhale long. It confines you, it tightens you. It's like you're angry. When you're angry, you can't exhale. When you're weak or depressed, you can't exhale. You're too soft, you're too hard. It's when you're conscious, bring yourself into focus, and you become something else. Then you can exhale longer, like 20 seconds. When you reach 20 seconds calmly, you pause. There's 4 parts to breathing. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. One of the best books dealing with those 4 parts in context, men will love it, is The 5 Rings. Mediation, a great swordsman. But the 5th ring is breath. And he learned that from Buddhism. One of his relatives was a Buddhist monk, and he learned it, and then he applied it to his sword play. But finding a good translation on that, I've seen good ones, I've seen bad, and unfortunately, the book that had the best translation, the book was superb on the 5 rings and what it is. And unfortunately, I gave it away, and I can't remember the title or who the translation. It's the translation that matters. But when I see it again, one of these days, I'll see if I can. The 5th ring, just read the 5th ring, and if it's clear, succinct about the 4 parts of breath and what each part does, especially in a fight, like with a sword fight, and how it keeps you focused, calm, and ongoing. That's the good translation. Everything else gets sort of ambiguous. They don't have a clue what the breath does. And they just try to use the words involved. But the breath is the center, and you have to learn that to meditate, to affect your mind and body, and recover, to resolve suffering within the drugs. Now, recovering from drug addiction is really hard. In other words, how much time have you been doing this pattern of behavior? If you're under 20 and have done it, not too bad to recover and get out. But if you're over 30, from 20s into the 30s, that's when you really start having challenges to recover. Why? Because some of your behavior you're going to regret. You're going to feel guilty. The natural feeling of feeling guilty affects the heart, the emotional range ability. It actually consumes energy, guilt consumes it, and blocks out good feelings. Feeling guilty is it's like ice. It ices you up, limits everything you as an expression outward, and that's why drugs or alcohol or feeling lonely and all that exists, because you have too much regret. How do you neutralize, resolve regret? Is part of meditating, learning to meditate. That enhances the body to accept, to resolve the suffering from regret. I've had to deal with this lately on regret and what it does, and it's really, really hard. So understanding the idea of resolving suffering, regret is part of it. So you expand your abilities to feel, and to feel love, or feel other people, or be nice, or be calm, and not be fearful in some manner way that someone's going to take something from you or hurt you or whatever. That comes wisdom. Wisdom comes into play later. So this is the beginning video about dealing with breath, the 4 parts of breath, how important it is. And you can see the 4 parts in activity with a regular smoker. Why do people smoke? I want to relax. It calms me down. Okay. I'm saying is, when I was teaching, I said, look, you learn the 4 parts and breathe a certain way with an attitude a certain way. You don't have to smoke. You get the same effect. In fact, it's even better, will last longer than smoking a cigarette. That's my contention. And I'll back it up on that. Being physical, focused on your breathing, creating the breath. And the most basic is the torso. I'm just cluing you on another way. Eventually, it's the whole body engaged in creating the breath. In, exhaling, pause, strength, weakness, softening down, controlling. You control your breath. You can and direct your breath effectively. Control, direct, realize you can affect your emotional state anytime you want. You don't have to have excitement, fear, hope, needless hope, or basically fear more than anything. If you distill everything down, when people get fearful, they assume so many negative things. There's negative forces, neutral, and positive forces in life. And finding how to do this. I will go into energy concepts. Remember, when I say energy, I'm using the word ki and chi from an Eastern point of view to represent the energy flow. I'm going to give you a concept. I contend there's actually 4 energy channels, but I'm only going to deal with 3. One you can see, one you can't see, and one you create. If you think of that way, and meditate can affect all 3 of those in ways that you can't even believe it as an experience to make you more you involved. That's the best way. Make yourself realize more. The first one is what you can see is your nervous system. How well is your nervous system? What you eat affects the nervous system involved. There's a lot. The second one is the energy channels you can't see. That's the acupuncture system. That's the lymph system. You can't see it, but it influences everything. And how the body feels, energy, strength, it really creates your state of being in any given moment. Think in moments, not in years, not in days, moments. And the third one is one you create, the energy channel you create. That's attitude. What is your attitude shapes your body and expressed through exhaling your words, your emotional state. How do you feel about yourself, about others, your fear, your love, whatever, your intention. Your intention comes through your attitude. What do you want to achieve? So I'm not messing around here. If you really want to change, I'm going to be far more direct on this. When I used to teach, that's when it was fun. It's not as easy doing a video than if I was in front of a group involved. But I'm trying to tell you, meditate is a key force as a discipline to affect what goals to overcome addictions. And by overcoming, I'm not just saying stopping addiction. People stop all the time. But to recover from the guilt you created and the sensations you created under the influence of a distorting substance, from alcohol, drugs, whatever involved, events even there. But it's all dealing with your body's emotional state being projected outwards through a mental focus. And the breath is the key to meditate with the 3 parts. And from that, then you go into the noun of the meditation processes which one do you want to develop, how do you want to develop it, involved to do what purpose. And this program right now is just how do you recover from addictions.